Besides, that's the only problem that I've encountered, except for Cortana being a pain with doing the upgrade versus a clean install. Yeah, no problem, Blue. T. Alright, put that there. Alright, tell me about the Paladin Knight.
She's one of the youngest manifestations of Beryl.
Is that the right voice I was using? Whatever.
But a familiar one, nonetheless. Stories describe her as a gaunt knight in black armor with black eyes and black hair and pale milk skin. Milk pale skin. She demands an impossible toll from travelers who have tarried too long on her lord's road. Some challenge her only to slay themselves in the process.
Who is the Usher?
Kith have written songs, stories, and poems about the Usher for centuries. Sometimes he's folk, sometimes dwarf, and sometimes merely a walking skeleton. He never speaks, but he guides the way to death and the next life. He also creates the circumstances for the wayward to stumble into their own graves.
So this sounds a lot like the just based off this one alone. It sounds like the Let In Key founder dude that, like, you know, does stuff just so a lot of people can die. It seems like there's a mix there. Maybe he's acting under that god. I've never heard of Benwin E Anq and Anq E Benwin. I Benwin E, I don't know.
It means life in death and death in life, respectively. You see them as two skeletal figures, one male and one female. Explorers have found them carved opposite one another in doorways, but I know of no particular legends that speak of them.
Thank you for the information, and oh my god.
Of course, Bareth was once more widely worshipped in the area, but it is a silent god.
He smiles sadly.
These days, people find themselves in need of clearer answers.
Farewell, my throat. Rip. The mythology gods are kind of boring in this game. It's explained why later, but okay. Okay. Maybe they're trapped in human vessels. Gimme.
They're obvious. Do people treat you badly because of how you look?
Are you kidding me? My face looks like a cautionary tale about the dangers of wild animals, and I'm even shorter than other Orlans my age. People just like to heckle me.
Don't ever let them. Be proud of who you are. They're the ones who should feel shame.
Bling bling. I need a shame bell. I bet Amazon sells one by now. Buy your Game of Thrones shame bell, just $59.99. Don't buy these other bells that are $5 that look exactly like it. Okay. Let us do the thing. You know, maybe we don't want a druid in our team. Maybe we want a cipher.
For some of our backers, as the overall region of Deerford is what we use in our backer beta. What you may not know is that Deerford Village was among the first maps ever made in development. The Deerford region in Pillars of Eternity was made during a phase of development we call vertical slice. If each feature of a game were made into a layer of a cake, then taking a vertical slice of said cake would result in a small section of the entire game that includes all the various layers of gameplay. In this period, we get all the core mechanics of the game in a raw form, so that we can get an immediate sense of the experience we're aiming for the player. Deerford, a seemingly remote village in Deerwood, felt like a perfect fit. As our visual target, we wanted to create a village familiar to fantasy setting, but grounded in a historic medieval feel. In terms of the area design, since Deerford is such a tight-knit village where everyone knows each other, it only felt logical that all their quests relate to one another in some way. The whole town is in an uproar over Lord Huron's presence, so everyone's got something to say about Lady Aelis's disappearance. Rumbold's pigs got eaten by an ogre, and Trigel, the local tanner, seems to know something about it, but you can catch him on his lie by bribing the local barkeep or getting some information from Hendina, another quest giver. This relation helps create a flow from quest to quest. This alleviates backtracking through areas that often feel tedious and a waste of time. It also helps reinforce the narrative of a small town.
Did it get weird? Shame bell, tap to shame, swing to ring. Oh my god, if only I had an iPhone. I bet it's for Android. Oh my god, I need it. You mean like a slightly echoey? Slightly echoey?
Hold, Lord Nestor Heron has need of your aid.
Okay.
I do.
Defiance Bay +3. The guard sighs with relief as he looks at you. What are the odds? Stuck in this backwater only to meet the famed champion of Defiance Bay. Barath's wheel brings mercy today indeed. Perhaps you could help. I don't suppose you saw an elven noblewoman on the road? I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. I haven't seen someone like that. Same as everyone else in this blazing village, he says. Perhaps you could go speak to Lord Heron at the inn anyway. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and it'll be the locals, and it could be the locals will open up to you about his daughter's disappearance more than they have to us.
Eh?
Cool. Taking a second to appreciate their like first level, right? This is they're like, hey, I wonder if we could do this. Like, you know, they put like a little box, and then like you see like this little ripple pattern. It looks like it's kind of like bouncing off it. Oh, they really did a lot of work. Piglets. Wait, how can I need the loot. That is so. Hold on. Got it. Okay. It had to be right here in this corner pocket. That's silly of them. Alright. Grieving mother. Pilgrim's crown. Sweet. Villager would spot us for that. Alright, any other more? I mean, are we really gonna be caught? Nope. Alright. The woman looks briefly through you as if she doesn't know you're there. Grieving mother, she's like, this middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off the long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me. The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she has heard you. Let's study the woman. At first, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman. Unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving. And the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing. Like many of the townsfolk you've seen, there is a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color, and a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence. You have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus on the woman. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downward, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly, you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest, hazy with mist. Although whether it is actual mist or distance or a recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body, your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, like mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber. And focus on the chimes. The chimes coax you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra? The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, and your hands. Your hands are in motion. Weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. Trying to just like process this all, like, so we're on a plateau, the wheel's turning, it's warm, and now we have a baby on our hands. This is interesting. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's labored breathing, crying out. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as a comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth. And coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly, the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the lengths of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child, still wet from the womb before you. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul from within a soul, but it is there. It is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as